as you make your way down the track and through the streets, you start making your way back towards because so you it would be maybe about just after midday. From the estimations, it should be around the time that they are like getting ready to announce winners. Maybe like it's they're maybe getting ready to sort of talk about what's going on, and you begin making your way over to the central Colosseum area. As you enter from the North Market side, the area that the weaving stage, so you can see the weaving stage, there is a smaller stage next to it that is almost pulled down and collapsed. There are guards all over the place, and the entire area is cordoned off. You can see as you sort of arrive and look out, there are still people moving around and enjoying the festival, and you can see a few attendants going, a free meal and drink over by the glass blowing stage before we announce the winners of the glass blowing contest. And give me an insight there's definitely it's super obvious something has gone on for sure.
14.
You would pick up, there's almost like from the attendance, there's almost this air of like, this way, don't look at that, don't look at that, don't look at that. Like over this way, we have things, and it's very much like they're trying.
Are they pointing them away from where I left?
Yeah, so you know that this section, and again, I'll swing you back onto this almost southeastern quarter, the quarter that's nearest the market. This entire quarter was dedicated to the weaving, and each of the quarters was sort of dedicated to something, with the final quarter being food and drink and the entertainment section. The entire northern area, and including some of the market stalls, have been shut down and cordoned off, and everybody, and even as you arrive on your horse and look a little bit confused for a moment, an attendant just appears next to you with like, all of the festivities have been moved to the northern side of the Colosseum. If you would like to make your way that way, and it almost start trying to usher you away from whatever has happened here.
I kind of like kind of pat the elk to like hold its ground. Apologies, I need to go that way. My companions were, well, one of my companions was competing in the weaving contest. Do you know?
So you don't even need to roll an insight, as they go white as a sheet. And who is your friend?
They halfling.
Immediately, there's like a, okay.
Like it's trying to like remember their like made up name, the one that they've like written down everywhere. It's just like
and as you say halfling, they sigh with like a bit. And again, they're not very good at covering up there was definitely a like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to tell somebody the worst thing ever. And then there's like the weaving contest unfortunately was postponed due to complications. And however, I believe I believe the
Eechie steps off the elk at this point and is like eye to eye with them. What happened?
Give me a persuasion or intimidation, whichever one you're going for.
What am I going for? That's a very good question. My persuasion is higher, but this is definitely an aspect of like focus, man. So I'll go with intimidation. Okay. 13, 10 plus 3.
They're like, please don't hurt me.
No, I'm not gonna hurt you.
We're not allowed to say. They sort of like see a sort of a guard passing, and they're like, as an employee of the city, I have to do what I am told, but the guards might have more information for you, citizen. And they're like, don't get me fired. You can just see that like eye of like, they are under strict instructions to assist, but guide everybody away. Do not talk about it. Don't bring it up. Like and that in itself, Eechie, would give you the vibe that whatever it was big enough that it like could have shut down the day. Like it was a big enough goings on that they are doing everything they can to get it out of people's mind. And even to the degree of it, while it's cornered off, the guards do seem to be finishing up and are in the process of like clearing away their stuff again and making it
Ichi kind of like sees their like eyes of please,
yeah.
like gesturing towards
Please,
the guards.
please.
And Ichi will kind of like look at them, look at the people over their shoulder, correct their like intense face, and will go, "Oh no, of course. Thank you very much. You have been very helpful. I'll make sure to head this way." Yes.
I believe any of the guards have what you are looking for, sir.
Thank you very much.
And they will like very quickly shuffle to the next person and like, can I help at all with it? And it'll just immediately gone.
As soon as like they're gone, Ichi's face drops again and is walking towards the guards where the
Okay, so as you look over, you can see that there are two that are clearly in charge. They have the sort of symbol of a captain on, and they're currently having like a discussion in the middle. As you sort of move towards one of the ones that is cordoning, sort of sorry, might I ask your business? Just we are currently investigating.
One of my companions was involved in the weaving contest. I was just wondering what's happened.
Well, they sort of look over and
I understand that things are on a more need to know basis.
They
but
will sort of just not hold a moment and say, give me just a moment. I will bring over one of the captains." And they sort of jog over for a second, and there's a brief exchanging of words. One of them, you would see at this distance, one of them just shakes their head like immediately. The other one sort of like glances over. You would see a middle-aged human sort of glancing over the head of the guard you spoke to. They sort of see you and they hold up and nod. The middle-aged human sort of heads over towards you, and you can see they have the breastplate with the captain's badge on. And as they approach, they nod and say, "How can I help, sir? My name is Sir Volkov."
Pleasure to meet you, Sir Volkov. I'm just inquiring as to whereabouts as to one of my companions. They were competing in the oh god, what's it? The weaving contest. Now, I understand this is a sensitive subject, but do not worry about mincing your words. I am a capable individual.
Who was your companion?
What is the name that you, what is the name? What is the name?
I can't believe you don't know my
name. I love it as well.
I know your name.
You were struggling to say it as well because, and I'll give you this clue because of a specific kind of butter.
Specific kind of butter. Oh fuck it! Yes, yes. I'm there like Bertoli.
Yeah.
but Clover. Clovis.
Yeah.
But that was an in character,
yeah.
like
no, legit. And they will
Clovis.
You do not need to worry. Your halfling friend is fine. One of the contestants collapsed. We are still not entirely aware of the reasoning, and they give me a persuasion, just flat, as they definitely pause for a moment and look you up and down, sort of trying to assess your
dirty 20, 14 plus 6.
Nice.
A few of the people watching began acting erratically, waving weapons around. It was only momentary, but unfortunately, the contestant that collapsed has ended up having to be taken for care by the priests. As I said, we do not know entirely, but I believe your friends were last seen heading up into the city. I do not know their exact location. And sort of as you're talking about this, a runner just like Sergeant, Captain, sorry, a messenger. The High Priestess Arkana has requested that we bring the items, and they sort of motion over to the stage where you can still see there is the tapestries that were in mid creation, and you can see that the I actually think Eechie, give me. I'm going to say a perception to see if you can pick out as you sort of look over the 4 tapestries.
14, 8 plus 6.
Okay, as you're looking over, you not initially you sort of like, oh, they all look really good. You sort of were, you can't really tell which one's Volu's by that. But as you're sort of looking over, the 3rd tapestry along is depicting a oranged hair human riding a wyvern through the sky, almost swooping down low to the ground. And you would recognize the scene, but also as your sort of eyes glance up, you can see a large tear and sort of purple fabrics, almost, like if there was a stitching and they've been slit straight down.
Yeah, like the frayed ends either side.
Yeah. And as you're sort of looking, they think something to do with the pieces made are affecting the contestant that collapsed, and also another contestant has collapsed.
Right.
The guard will sort of say, "Do you know which one?" And say, "No, they didn't say, but they said they think it is connected." They will look to you. You will get immediately. They don't know if this is Clovis or not, but they will sort of say, "If you are willing to give us a hand lifting the tapestries, you can come to wherever we are going."
Certainly. Do you have no idea what caused this?
They will go walk and talk, and they sort of go, "Men, grab up these," and they start lifting the tapestries. They are trying not to disturb them as much as possible, so they're not like taking them apart. They're almost in their frames. They sort of lie them down gently, and then like 6 men to a tapestry, down it, lift either side, and begin moving through the city.
If you'll excuse me a moment, Ichi will brush the hand up the eye, have a moment of like as the hand kind of goes over the iris, there's kind of like a flash into Ichi's palm, and Ichi will throw that into the air as I will divine sense like just the area, focusing on like the tapestries themselves, just seeing if I can glean any form of otherworldly beings.
And as you're doing that, they say, well, your friends actually helped us during the incident, and they said that there is potentially some magic at play, something to do with the thread that was used. We have handed it off to one of our magicians. I'm not skilled in the ways of the arcane. They will sort of show, and as you cast that, can you list off for me?
So this allows me, I can sense anything affected by the Hallow spell, and I know the location of any celestial fiend undead within 60 feet that's not behind total cover.
Okay,
kind of using it. It allows you to do like detect good and evil kind of thing.
Yeah, as you sort of pass over, you don't pick up any active signs, but there is trace of extraplanar. Too small of a trace for you to be able to determine which kind of, but also interestingly, so on the first tapestry that you think isn't Volu's or Clovis's, the sort of trace energy is all over it, but sort of condenses in a specific so their scene is like the sort of they've split it down the middle with like grass and lush area on one side and the desert on the other, and one of the flowers, it looks like all the other flowers, but it's all as you look in, it's like intricately woven. One of the flowers is more concentrated with it. As you look at the others, and they are literally bringing all of the tapestries right now, like they're like getting men together to bring them all. You notice that the second and fourth tapestries have none of this energy on it. And as you look at Volu's, the area that is ripped has this similar energy on it.
Interesting.
As the guards begin to bring, like, man taking all of the tapestries with them, as we are still currently investigating. And it's happened maybe an hour or two ago. It was not. It was maybe a few more. I've lost track of the hour as it is, but wait here. We will make our way. Once we reach the Mythic Ward, I will have a platform meet us. And you do begin to make your way up through the city. Obviously, if you have any specific questions, but as you sort of talk to them, you gather that they're definitely still in investigation mode. He would tell you that the two people in the crowd that went nuts are not known for it at all. One of them was a very, very old, frail noble he's known to like throw big soirees and stuff, but like literally slipped a disc lifting a heavy platter last week, drew his sword and attacked a politician that was on stage, and a performer from the deserts, and one of the nomad tribes, drew her dagger, but then just stood there doing nothing, almost trembling in place. Your Furbolg friend managed to cast a spell and webbed them up.
Interesting.
But you would be able to make your way through the city. Eventually, you make your way to the Mythic Ward, where you are met by some of these the larger platforms, and you're able to move the pieces on. As you are brought up and through and getting to the temple, as you're sort of like getting ready to sort of go in and look at these things, you catch what you think for a second, just down the street, turning the corner, is the orange hair of Dante. Like they get to the doors of the temple and they're like, I believe your friend is in here with the high priestess. Let us go in and ask. And then you sort of look down as you just sort of checking the street, and it's like Dante just turned the corner, maybe about 40 foot down the street.
With that, like I caught red hair, or like I saw Dante turn the corner?
Definitely like it was the flash of orange hair, but you also saw like the flecks of burns, or like the scarring on the shoulder and such, as they turned that corner.
I'll like turn to the captain. Oh, forgive me 1 second. I think I saw one of my companions, and I will dart in that direction.
Okay. You run your way down the street, getting to the corner, and as you sort of look, give me a perception as you sort of round in that corner.
11. No, 13. Sorry, 7 plus 6, 13.
You are glancing, and no, they seem to have disappeared into the busy main street. And as you're sort of taking a look, there is a call from one of the guards who says, excuse me, sir, two of your companions are in fact inside.
Right. Of course. Where are you, Dante? And as I'll turn around, I like... There's a moment of... Two of them are there. I'll deal with that in a second, and I'll run back.
Okay. And you would head into the temple and be led through all the way into like a back room where eventually, and sorry to keep you waiting so long, we needed to do that little bit of catch up. You would be led into a bedroom that currently has High Priest Arcaner, Volu, eyes just awake, lying in the bed, and sat at the end of the bed, Eleni. And for you guys, the door opens and Eechie walks in.
I would stand up immediately.
But what happened? Are you okay?
He will be.
High Priest Arcaner sort of said, we have managed to undo Waters. We believe that they were under some sort of spell that was draining their magic, forcing them to use their magic for something that we are not sure what yet.
Do you know what was causing it?
We think it was the thread in his tapestry. He bought it from a girl in the Bloody Banner a couple of nights ago.
We have passed over this information to the city mages, and for now, Volu seems well and no longer under the effects. You would see sort of they are currently sort of casting dispels and remove curses on all of the tapestries just to be safe. Though they started with Gertrude's and Volu's first.
I was going to say as they I'll be like, 1 second. And we'll go over and I will again hand up to the breastplate. We'll bring the middle finger over the iris. It will kind of like leave a mote of energy, and they'll draw a little symbol on their forehead, and I will cast Detect Magic.
Okay, so you would see at this point any residual magic that was still running has seemed to dissipate. Unfortunately, as you're sort of arriving, they have already done Gertrude's and Volu's, and you're not seeing any sort of residual energy at the moment. Not running magical anyway.
Gertrude is much worse. She collapsed in the middle of the competition.
Did she use the same thread?
Well, thread with the same spell on it.
We think a thread with the same, though she is not a magic user, so it was like drawing magic from a tapped source. We have healed her, but she had suffered. If she was a magic user, I do not think that her mana would work as well anymore. The streams have suffered quite a bit of damage.
We thought that Volu was fine, and we didn't know, so we left the festival and we were walking through the city when he just started getting weaker and weaker. When he collapsed, we brought him here.
What happened to Dante during all of this? I saw them out. I think I saw them outside.
Oh, I was looking for him a minute ago and he'd gone. I have to say, Ichi, he was amazing. Yeah, I don't know if I could have got here so quickly without him.
I understand the capabilities of Dante, but please think, regardless as to how amazing they were, was he himself?
He seemed to be, yes. He only left the room because, well, Volley wanted to talk to High Priest Arcaner in confidence, and Dante was happy to leave the room while that happened. But it wasn't that long ago.
Dante offered to step outside.
I thought maybe he'd just step outside for some air. He seemed to be himself. Where did you see him?
Quite literally just outside, but they were walking into the street, I tried to catch up, but he lost me in the crowd. I didn't want to chase after him because I wanted to make sure you were okay. I got back into the city and just
he was
heard what had
definitely
happened.
as uncommunicative as usual. You know, Dante.
Why does that
grunts than
comfort me?
words.
Why does that why does this man not communicating
He
comfort
was a
me?
moody git.
He
That's
was,
comforting.
yeah. He wasn't. He wasn't. You described him as eloquent the other night. He wasn't that, but he was helpful.
Okay.
I think for a moment, Eechie, there is almost like that release of tension that, not maybe fully, but there has been almost since you got back to the city and found out about everything that had been going on, almost that worry and tension building as you do sort of have a moment of calm, and it feels quite peaceful here in the temple. High Priest Arcanev will stand and say, I will leave you three to talk, and feel free to use the chambers if you need any food or drink. And you would see on the side, Eechie, there is like a small platter of food and some drinks.
Eechie, while everything was happening around the stage, Dante saw a figure running towards the stage. It seemed to go around the back, and we thought we'd trapped it under the tarpaulin. There was a smell of sulphur, and Dante thought that maybe it was a fiend. But we lost track of it. It had disappeared.
Did Dante say what it looked like?
He said a hooded figure. Couldn't catch any features, and myself and Volu were too busy.
Of course.
Thought it may have been the girl who sold me this thread. I told him I could not see it being that, and I am worried that she is suffering the way I suffered, the way.
Typically, when people pass things on, the messengers rarely also get afflicted.
But she wasn't a messenger. I challenged her about if she'd stolen it, and then she ran away. If she stole it, she could be in an alleyway and
we will find her, Volu, but you need to get better. You need to regain some strength first. If we go out and you collapse again, we can't help her.
If this feels like a targeted attack, which by the looks of things, it more than likely was.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what was the distraction for what. It was very strange that the old couple, a man started waving a sword around and seemed to attack the politicians who were judging. Another lady looked like she was trying to stop herself from attacking anyone. All that was happening while Gertrude was on the stage spasming. We didn't see this other figure at all, and I can't work out if one was a distraction for the other or.
No.
I don't think Volu was targeted directly. I'm not sure if Gertrude was. Arcaner also said she thinks that the magic is triggered by the act of creation, so the thread probably wasn't noticeably magic until somebody started to make something with it.
Interesting. If there are fiends and such at play, luckily, I had a brief run-in with someone from my order. They might be able to help. Iris Knights are, especially fully anointed Iris Knights, have an affinity for dealing with these situations.
Is he here in the city?
Not currently in the city. They are working for the city. There are some elementals out in the plains outside, just consuming some of the gems. They're hungry creatures.
Could he help, with our other issue?
It's a possible. It's a possibility. I feel like that's a conversation to have when we're on the way to perhaps the temple they come from, the fort. They mentioned their mentor still resides there, so we could even, if they are out and about, they could help us with this, and then we can always head to the fort and see if there's someone there who can help specifically with Dante.
That would be good.
It is obviously in the forefront of my mind. That could be a solution. Well, at least the avenue we take to the solution.
Were you successful in your quest this morning?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, I managed to scout out the track itself, get an idea of what's to come, and make some modifications to benefit us.
That's good.
Minor, but they hopefully will give us a little bit more of an edge.
Now that we're official, they say we can do a guided walk.
Yes.
Around the route. With what you've learned, and when we go again, we could plot even more ways to.
I can show you subtly what I've done and such.
Yes, we would be.
There was one part of the track I couldn't get to. It came towards the end, and there seemed to be a barrier that was stopping me from proceeding, which is probably for my own safety, as the proceeding was a cliff drop. But whether or not that's because they have not completed the track, or they're intending to put something there, I don't know. Or perhaps they're just keeping it there for safety until the race, in which the vehicles will make a almighty jump. I am hoping they are not done constructing. We should really find Dante, though, if we're going to take that tour, because if they're going to navigate.
Yes, agreed.
Well, let's go. Let's go now.
No.
And as you try to stand up, Volu, you almost like slip off, and because obviously with the timey-wiminess, Eechie is joining maybe halfway through your short rest that you were able to gain, and you almost physically slump back into the bed.
You look to me like you need at least 30 more minutes.
I'm going to put food on his lap
distract with the food
to distract him. And I'm going to say, another half an hour, let's all have some lunch together, and then we can leave. Perhaps Dante will return while we're waiting.
Hopefully. And if not,
then
while walking around, I can try and use some spells to locate him. He shouldn't have gone far. Hopefully hasn't gone far.
I'll take a little bit of bread and be like, fine. And...
Nom, 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 nom.
I lean over to Eleni, and kind of whisper, "This is the first time I've seen them unhappy to eat."
We did eat before he collapsed.
That shouldn't cause him to be angry with what we know about him.
But yeah, so what is Eleni and Eechie doing in this 30 minutes? Obviously, you can be awake and talking, and if it's just generally talking and chit-chatting, that's fine as well. We can skip past it, but I didn't know if you wanted to talk about anything specific.
I mean, I might ask him about the actual structure of the track, just generally, what it looks like, and that kind of thing.
Each you'd be able to get all your notes out and show the sort of markings you've made, and
the twisty turny bits
and the ramps and the different
stalagmites
sections
and such. Yeah, I'll give a brief kind of like, and my notes kind of go over, which are simply like along the lines of larger than normal bats live in the used to at least live in the crevasse, but I think they've mostly moved out now. They could be a problem during the race if they've started moving back due to the mages interfering. We need to be careful to be more central in the actual crevasse itself, due to there being stalagmites and stalactites scattered around. But it's a little bit more of like a snake pattern. There's a natural river that we can follow, which should help us. There are moments and curves in which we should be able to use grappling hooks to enable us to maneuver at least over and through some of the stalagmites to reduce distance that we have. It may cost us a little bit of speed, but nothing that we shouldn't be able to make up. And obviously, speed also isn't really something we're gunning for.
No.
I did make some slight adjustments to the entrance of the cave, so as long as we're central, we should be able to avoid them.
Well, we did find a shop that sold alchemist fire and various other things. It was a little bit pricey. I wanted to maybe have a look around in the forge and other areas,
Yeah.
and see if we can find anything. And I'm still looking for any kind of, I don't know, something that I could add to my arrows to maybe set things on fire, or
Do you maybe dip your arrows in alchemist fire if we are able to
Maybe.
pull funds?
I mean,
How
I would
much
also say, Ailenia, a very basic pitch oil, and you know what I mean, like the
Yeah, just
actual
like tar or something.
an actual fire arrow from
Yeah.
back in the day that's just a bit of cloth
Yeah.
wrapped in pitch
It
oil
would
or
just be
whatever.
pitch, wouldn't it? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
So if all else fails and you don't find
Yes.
any of the magical means, there is.
I mean, there's lots of industry in the
mundane
forge,
means.
isn't there? So there's lots
Yeah,
of
there, and there is. It's just about whether you find it in your price range is going to be the question.
Yeah.
But there are mundane options as well.
But
Wonderful.
yeah. So we did find some things before Volu started to feel ill.
And you were able to officially sign up and sort all that
And we
out.
did sign up. Oh,
And
we noticed
sorry, go on.
that and I'm going to say this, and Liam, you can tell me if I'm right. The Verdant Circle, they've all dropped out. There were entries of theirs before, and they're not in it anymore. But the other ones, I can't remember the
Lyrics and Arcanum.
Lyrics and Arcanum. I was going to say Arcane something. The Lyrics and Arcanum, I think they've got 2. No, just 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
So,
we saw the the really fancy new fangled, the one that we're supposed to keep an eye out for. They arrived through the bastion and headed towards the Azure Spire Academy.
So does it seem like they're still competing? Good to know.
And as I said, that Dante has also located one of the race's vehicles.
Did Dante tell us that?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
He said he wanted to sneak back, and so basically he has located the vehicle of Moonshadow Jr., but Orkin Moonshadow, the son of the current president. So basically on the sign-up sheet, there were only names and sponsors and the kind of vehicle. You didn't get like the individual riders' names. So you know the ones that you are targeting because they are sponsored and owned by Greywind Aether.
Greywind, that was the one. Yeah.
And then you've got the was it the Azure?
The Azure Flyer was by the Azure
Flyer,
Spire Academy. Now Dante has a suspicion that the Azure Flyer is the one that has Moonshadow Jr. on it, because he followed Moonshadow Jr. all the way deep into the university grounds and found a little hidden garage that they are currently working on their vehicle in. And so he has mentioned the potential for going back there and maybe messing with said vehicle.
We thought maybe later, after dinner.
And to be fair, I think Chris was thinking later in the week, because you guys know that
we
the
only
day
got a day or two anyway.
so I'm pretty sure he was saying after the parade. So there's the parade where you need to do like a lap of the Colosseum and show off your team, etc. That happens the day before. And he was saying to me along the lines of like he doesn't want them to find the problems before the race, but he has located and noted where they keep their vehicle. As we're coming towards the end of the 30 minutes, Volu, you're still completely tapped of mana, and a little bit tired, but you are feeling more yourself. As Brother Theo would knock on the door and say, excuse me, sorry to disturb you. A note has come from your friend Dante.
Oh.
And they will just hand it over.
Yeah.
As you open it up, it starts with a street and an address that you don't immediately recognize. It's Cliffside Street, and it's 760 is like the address. Now, Eechie might have a chance of finding that. For Eleni and Volu, that's like me giving you a random side street in the center of London, right? Like it's not a main road. It's nothing that's ever come up for any reason that you know. Eechie, you haven't ever heard of it, but also like you're imagining they're fairly literal in their naming. It's probably going to be along the sides. It lists on there that it's in the Forge Ward. And then under that, it says, found something interesting. We should all see it.
It's a little bit cryptic.
Ominous.
Oh, if we had Clarence with us, he'd know where it was.
That he would. Maybe we should hire him as our driver.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, Volu? Are you ready for maybe a slow stroll?
I was fine before, but the bread helped.
If you start to get tired, let me know, and I can always help.
Okay. So, where did you say he was? You saw him heading, Eechie?
Oh, I lost him immediately in the crowd.
I'm going to follow out and try and find Brother Theo and ask him if he knows where Cliffside Street is.
Oh, he would say, oh, yes, it's actually the large stairs that we first met on.
Oh.
At the very bottom, if you take a right and go straight till you meet the cliffside, they are just living quarters, though. It is
okay.
There is nothing really over that way.
Aren't we over by the Temple of Astera?
We are in the Temple of Astera at the moment.
So you're
that
here.
one.
Yeah, the set of stairs. So it's
okay.
Down in this corner.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Stairs.
But at least it's downstairs.
We can wait a little bit longer if you need, Volu.
You'd be waiting a long time for me to be happy about stairs. Let's go.
Eechie will kind of like whistle, and the elk will kind of like peer its head into the door. It's like, you can ride them if you want. Save your legs. Give you a little bit longer just to not be moving.
I'd kind of look up at it and see how massive it is and go, Eechie.
Why don't you try
Eechie, could I get a leg up?
Oh, would you like me to fully lift you, or would you like a literal step?
I'm just a little step, thank you.
Of course.
I'm not a baby.
No, of course. That's why I offered. I was giving you the option.
Yeah, and then kind of put the foot on it straight away and trying to launch myself onto the elk.
And you do just about launch yourself up onto the elk. There's a bit of a kicking and a And eventually, and it's quite the scene as your legs do not make it down into like leg position. You're almost like sat in the splits on the back of this elk.
Sit with your legs crossed and use your hands on either side of its neck. That'll help you find stability.
I'm fine as I am.
He's such a grumpy old dad.
It's like he's hungry, even though he's eaten.
Yeah.
I was going to say he's always hangry.
That's a secret.
I'm always hangry.
Always hungry.
But yes, you would be able to begin making your way through the streets, down the different areas, and eventually making your way towards this cliffside street. Now, as you're sort of looking around, can you all give me perceptions? You think you're in the right general area, but you're sort of looking up to the buildings where the streets street names are carved.
11.
10.
12.
Nice. So it does.
Been a long day,
take,
Liam.
It does take you a minute as you're sort of looking around. You're not really seeing it. You sort of go all the way up to the cliffside, and it's not this exact one. And you're having a look around. Eventually, what actually brings your attention to it is Eechie. As you're walking through and you're actually in quite tall, stacked buildings as you're sort of walking through the area. And Eechie, you get just a whiff of sulfur. And it's almost like up. And you're sort of looking around, and you see that you get to this courtyard, and there's like a few different quite tall buildings that have like ladder escape style outside, the ability to get onto the roof from the outside without having to actually enter the building. And it's not, it's not like really pungent, but like when you can smell something and then it's like, I can't smell. No, I can definitely still smell it. It's like on the back of the scent. It's not right in your face, but when you stand here in the center of these buildings, you're like, no, something here, something is not quite right. But other than that general, with 12, unfortunately, you're not able to locate or identify the specific building.
Like in proximity.
Oh yeah, you're like, if you imagine that like the 12 is enough to be like one of these buildings, but it's like
which one you are.
And the thing is because they are tall apartment blocks, right? There's 12 different apartments in there, and it's there's 12 there and 12 there and 12. You're a bit like
yeah.
If you were outside, maybe in an open space, it might be a bit easier.
Liam, can I use my primeval awareness?
Yes. What would you like to use it?
So it says to sense whether any aberrations, celestials, dragons, elements, fae, fiends, or undead are present within 1 mile. It doesn't tell me location or number, but it just says, is there any of these within 1 mile of me right now?
And how long does it last?
It says as an action.
So I think it's just like
1 minute per level of spell slot.
I thought there was a time.
Oh, okay.
There is. So it's 1 minute per level of spell slot. So I will use. Oh, and actually, that's a point. I've not got a huge amount of spell slots left. I'm going to use a first level spell to do that.
Okay, so
just
as you flick in your awareness, you almost you close your eyes and really focus in, and you actually begin to sort of in tune with the fluttering of the moths that are dormant within inside you, and almost tuning into their sense of the world. That sort of, there's almost like a different vibration that they are able to feel. And you get a fiend and an elemental. that immediately disappear. First the fiend, then the elemental.
I would be saying that quietly but out loud as I'm feeling it.
And as you feel them disappear, you can tell they've just shifted planes. Like it wasn't like they walked out of the radius, they disappeared.
They've gone, but like they're not here at all anymore. They didn't just leave the city, they're gone.
Is there a portal around here?
In one of these buildings, possibly.
Where is Dante?
I don't know.
Can you all drop me a survival as you're sort of looking around?
I am also going to drop a locate object on Dante's sword.
Okay.
That was a 14 survival.
14 survival.
21 survival.
Nice.
Well, it was an 8 plus 6, but
So, Eechie, at first you cast the locate object.
Mhm.
Not in the area, not within 1,000.
Not
Not that you can feel anyway. However, you also know thick lead. That lead would block it. Where there are things that would block these things, but you're not pick. Or they could be outside of 1,000, but you're not picking them up. As you start to look around and do your survivals, Lenny, you start searching around and actually find one of Dante's footprints.
Ooh.
Climbing the fire escape of this building on the east side of the square.
Can I see what number the building is?
It is 769.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Volu, with your 14, you also find a boot print of Dante's, but it's climbing this building on the opposite side. And almost both of you at the same time go like, I've found something. And Eechie, as you're sort of stood in the middle, you start to glance around. It looks like Dante cased this entire area and went to each of the buildings in this square, climbing each of the fire escapes one by one. And with the 21, you would be able to find your way up to the middle building that actually has its number, like it's all scuffed and scratched away. But just by looking at the the 769 over here, and you think this is the building that you're after. And again, it looks like he didn't enter, he climbed the fire escape.
It's been around this whole area. You're both right. What were you doing, Dante?
Eechie. Dante
Sorry, yes?
is human, right?
Yes.
What is his friend?
Elemental.
I will say though, and Ichi, you know this, even when Dante is not possessed, he is affected by the things that you do that affect elementals. So he is.
Well, we saw him scared when
he is, even though he is human. And Dante,
he's got elemental within.
Yeah, and you might have theorized by this point, he's had elemental within him for so long.
It's almost like osmosis. He has almost become.
It's hard to know where one ends and one begins. And you know that he might be, even if he's not, while it is definitely a risk that he is possessed and that's why you're detecting elemental, there is a chance. And Eleni, you haven't done this around Dante before. No. So there is a chance that he just naturally pings this
I want to pull out my dagger just in case, and I'm going to try and go up the fire escape on the building that we thought was the right building that we were looking for.
I will be closely behind.
I'll stay on the elk.
Okay. As Eleni and Eechie clamber their way up to the top, as you get closer and closer to the top, Eechie, the smell of sulfur is getting stronger and stronger. For Eleni, you're not smelling sulfur, but you are smelling smoke. Burning, like, not like raging fire smoke, but almost, do you know, like when something dry is just catching fire? And there's almost like all that putting out a candle,
Is it
that like
anything
almost
like the smoke that I smelt the night that Dante lost it and went up to the room and I followed up? You said I could smell some
although
kind of candly, incensey sort of smell in the hallway.
yes, and while that was much more pungent, almost is that you would gather that there is a difference of like what you smelled on that night was the fire in progress. This smells like the fire just put out.
Okay.
Smoldering embers.
And as you
Before we
clamber to the
fully
top, go on.
disappear, Ichi will say to Volo, if you
Volu's
see
on the
anything.
ground on your elk.
No, yeah,
that's the
before
same.
Oh,
we
right,
saying
sorry,
it
before we
downwards
go.
as well.
yeah. If you see anything, let them know and I'll pat the elk. They can tell me.
You want me to pat the elk?
Just tell them. We can talk to each other in our minds.
Cool.
If you see anything or if you need to leave, let them know. As long as we are within a mile of each other, we can. Myself and my elk can speak telepathically.
That's good to know.
Okay.
And then.
Okay, and as you round up to the surface, you both would immediately see what looks to be like it's a very bare roof. There are some tarps and stuff that seem to have been pulled to one side, and in the center there is a almost like blackened wood trapdoor. And you can see the sort of remain again. It's like walking in on a fire that has been put out, rather than one that is just starting. As there's the smoke wisps coming off it. As you're approaching a bit closer, can you both give me investigations?
Well, 16.
22.
Okay, so looking around this roof, you see a number of spots where there's almost this black, multicolored, almost like oil reflective liquid that's, as you're looking at it, as there's a sort of a bit dripping down the wall. It's almost gloopy, almost like almost more of a custardy text consistency. And who was the 22? Sorry.
Mine.
Okay, so each you're sort of focusing around. Each you catch. There's almost like a few, like it's hard to tell at first because it's the whole roof. But as you get to the edges, you suddenly realize that the grey color of the roof isn't the color of the roof. And that is a burn mark. As you sort of get to where the roof meets the lip of the wall that would keep you in, the corner is a slightly different, almost lighter grey. You know what I mean? Like you're only seeing it because you're sort of catching that very edge.
Yeah.
With the 22, Lenny, you look a bit closer at the trap door, and interestingly, it seems to be made of fabric. And you look, and it is stitched into the stone of the building, and you can literally you run your fingers, and it's like brick, 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 brick fabric.
I'm gonna say actually, I probably wouldn't touch it directly. I would either use my dagger or my quarterstaff or something to run along.
And it's almost like you get that scraping of the, and then and as you pass your dagger through it, you think your dagger could cut these threads, and it looks like like in incredibly fine detail down to like it looks like wood. It has the texture look of wood. but is entirely stitched of some sort of fabric.
Have I seen anything like that at all in all these magic buildings and these buildings that have been like pushed out the ground or?
Never. And not even, you have never seen this. I mean, you've seen things stitched this well, but
Yeah.
it's, as you're looking, it is almost like somebody was able to put the needle through the stone. It's not like they're, it's not, as you run the dagger around the edge, it's not like stuck on. It is genuinely sewn into the side, onto the top of this building. You also find the very brief and lightest eminence of what you think is footprints. And there is, almost as you're sort of looking to Eechie, as Ichi's realizing that this is a burn, and you look over and Eleni is like stood center of it. So, and the footprints you would recognize as Dante's. So if you almost imagine where he was stood has not burned in the same
It's
way.
the eruption from that point.
Yeah.
I would look up and I would say, this is weird. You need to see this.
This is bad.
And where is Dante?
And that's the worst part.
As you're pondering and looking around, suddenly the silence is broken and your attention almost snapping you into shock as there is a low guttural rumble followed by a pained and almost like desperate screech, both of which sounded animalistic and both of which coming from just below that stitched trapdoor.
Underneath the door.
And
sword and shield out.
And as you prepare yourselves, that is where we are going to end this week's session.
Excellent. Very good.
Thank you very much for watching. As always, thank you very much for playing. If you are enjoying the lovely and wonderful crazy stories of Call to Astera, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you know when the videos are coming out. If you want to comment and talk to us or have any suggestions, head over to our Twitter or our Facebook. And as always, roll well. Bye.